Because thank God they have kept their word. Over the previous few months, I have been encouraging both Honorable Raila Odinga and His Excellency the President that they are good persons and the nation needs them to put forward their best foot, and that this is much bigger than their political calculations or individual gain. And both of them seemed to me like they were headed in the right direction, so I was happy to see this happen.
Yeah. You said you speak to both of them?
Yes, both of them are my friends.
So you make a phone call from Geneva and they take your call?
No, I've called them, but also I have met them personally, physically, quite a few of the times I'm in the country.
And do they seem committed to this, Dr. Ari?
I have not discussed with them much about this, but I believe that they're committed to this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we all breathe a sigh of relief. 2 months later, I guess the task force now begins meeting, ironing out or putting in the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. Is it going to hold, Dr. Ari, do you think?
No, I have no benefit of prescience on this. I usually predict things which have happened because that way I can't lose. I always get it right. Right. I think, given the ability of Kenyans to get over their worst sentiments and to genuinely embrace peace, even with their vulnerabilities to manipulation, I think the public of Kenya will be supportive, by and large, for nurturing this.
From your lookout post in Geneva, Dr. Ari, what are people saying when they look at Kenya now? What are they saying?
From Geneva, we see a very tiny place called Kenya, but with very, 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 very brilliant sons and daughters. Internationally, Kenyans are renowned for their competitiveness. I've just come out of the Transform Africa Summit, where the Carnegie Mellon University was announcing they had taken some students for a master's program on cutting-edge technology for the next generation of world leaders. And among the ones who not only excelled, but were given scholarships to continue to do PhD in targeted skills, there was a very large presence of Kenyans. And I just think that you have a lot of sons and daughters who are global champions without you helping them too much.
Yeah. Look, Dr. Ari, when you look at the present equation or present the way alignment, if you will, it looks like there's no opposition left in this country. There's none. I mean,
there's one thing that we have to accept. We don't know how to play adversarial politics in Kenya. When we erect opposition, they become the enemy. And those who are not opposition are also counter enemies for the opposition. Unless we mature to the level that we could see Lord Gladstone and Disraeli could really have salty exchanges on the House of the Commons floor, and then they get out and they go to the pub of St. Albert and they have a drink together. And I remember when I was in Parliament, KANU members of Parliament were told, don't ever be found having a drink with Kituyi because those guys are dangerous. You don't know what he's getting out of you. If you have not matured the culture of understanding that opposition is loyal opposition, and if you don't know how to play loyal opposition, that you can criticize but you don't destroy, then the political culture has not matured for stability based on opposition vis-a-vis government. Yeah. So I don't mourn the absence of outright way out opposition as such. It is good to have a mature, responsible opposition to hold government to account. But I have no sentiment against a transition arrangement where key players try to heal national wounds, try to redefine. It's 10 years since we created a new constitutional order. Have we gotten what we hoped for? To some of us, we haven't got what we hoped for. Can we nurture a new sense of inclusion so the next phase does not have what we've been having, that every election year Kenya's GDP drops by 1%? Yeah.
But at the same time, before we go to break, Dr. Ari, there's a segment of this country that feels left out. And let's face it. And I know you're not you don't advocate for ethnicity at all. But let's face it, Mulembe Nation has been left out. Ukambani has been left out, and they feel left out. They feel jilted, if you will.
I think there's credible justification in that sense of feeling, because if you look at representation in government, people need to have a sense that they also belong. And I think even if a party hasn't done very well in an area, it's helpful to appoint, as you appoint men or women in that area, persons who can listen to, aggregate the sense of that community, and get to express to you that this is what my community is feeling.
Yeah.
It's legitimate that people can have that sense. But beyond that, I think our arithmetics of identity politics is fundamentally flawed because it does not talk to inclusion. And that's why, after elections, those who did not support the government party or the winning party feel like they have lost out.
Yeah.
In a normal democracy, you tell them, well, what did you expect? You stood on the other side. You got what you wanted.
Right.
It's like Democrats saying they are left out of the government in the U.S. It doesn't make much sense. But in a situation like our own, a sense of inclusion, a sense of top leadership responsiveness to the felt needs of every sector of our society is very important for stability.
Absolutely. Look, let's take a break, Dr. Ari. Come back and talk about the realignment. 2022 is going to be very interesting. And
why are you coming back to this 2022 thing all the time?
Because everybody's...
Why are you so obsessed with 2022?
I'm not
obsessed. It is 2018.
It is 2018.
For heaven's sake, you've just come out of an election.
This is true.
Why can't you talk about 2019 and 2020?
Are you going to run?
I don't think anybody's running 2019 and 2020.
Are you going to run?
For this time, what you want to do is to say, how can we create conditions under which the best candidates can run?
Yeah, but it's good to see who's out there in the field. Who are the players?
We will see when that time comes. But for now, I want to tell you this. As a country, we have a flawed democracy. You can't just blame it on the incumbent. What I called identity politics, that people mobilize, support out of the us vis-a-vis them. We should win by vanquishing them. And sometimes identity politics throws up the most inadequate candidates in public office. And you cannot blame them for not doing things that God never gave them the talent to do. But because they are the winners of identity politics, unless you start defining new parameters of who are the leaders you want. You did that at independence. You did that in the transition during the second liberation, that you could support a person because you shared their view that the country deserved better. You had a sense of comfort that you could leave your children in their care. But today, you vote on the fear of the other, the kind of comfort zone of this is with us. He has agreed with our people. And then the next day say, oh my, what has happened to us? Now, good candidates out there will run for every serious office in this country when we mobilize a Kenya which defines the values that we want in our leaders, not just this splitting the them against the us.
Wow, Dr. Mukhisa Kituyi, you are waxing already. You are waxing and we're just warming up. Let me make it easier for you. Let me ask you, the viewers, would you vote for this man for president in 2022? Let's simplify it. Would you vote for Dr. Mukhisa Kituyi in 2022? It's gonna be interesting. So much more to talk about. Intra-Africa trade, it's opening up.
I hope you'll decide with that.
I'm coming to it. I'm coming. Also, regional trade. The Ethiopian Prime Minister was in town yesterday.
Yes.
The Djiboutian President is in town today. I mean, the region is really opening up. We'll talk about that.
I'll be very excited to talk about that.
Good. And also, China. Anyway.
Bring it on.
Dr. Mukhisa, keep tweeting rather, at Unktad Kituyi, at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag, as always, is JK Live. Get ready, folks. This is a conversation you simply do not want to miss. Jeff Koinange Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.